Over to the phones we go, and always appreciative of his time, Congressman Adam Kinzinger. Congressman, good morning to you.
Fellas, good morning. How are you guys doing?
We're doing all right. How's everything?
It's great. In Illinois, it's a beautiful day, although I'm a little worried because it's reminiscent of the early stages of winter, and I'm not ready for that yet. It still feels like summer should just be rolling in. So
I got to believe D.C. is still a humid swamp at this point, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. So D.C. doesn't have fall or spring. It just literally is a swamp, and then all of a sudden it's cold. So at some point it'll switch.
Let's start with good news this morning, Congressman. Here in the 16th district, your district, and specifically in the Rockford area, we've had a couple of weeks of nice things. Mercy Rockford announcing a huge expansion at I-90 in Riverside for a new hospital campus. And then the announcement earlier this week, agreement between Rock Valley College and Northern Illinois to have Rockford residents earn engineering degrees and masters, too, in Rockford at RVC's campus. Those are two really, monumental announcements for the area and for the district, too.
Yeah, it really is. And you think of, the project of AAR, the maintenance refurbishing operation over at the airport. I know people, we have a tendency to sometimes look down and glorify the bad news and make that bigger in our mind. And there's no doubt Rockford area has been hit very hard in the last couple decades. But I think we have to begin looking at, where we're being successful. And frankly, I think if you look at Rockford today from even 5 or frankly 10 years ago, there's a real strong light at the end of the tunnel. People are coming back to work. We're understanding how education works. A kid can graduate from high school and still be successful, or he can get a trade and be successful. And so the Mercy Hospital announcement, by the way, big shout out to Senator Dave Severson. He did a lot to help to bring this here and just a fantastic leader for the community. And that's going to be a huge asset to the area. That was a win from Wisconsin, one of the few ones that we have. And it's going to employ a lot of people. And frankly, there's going to be a lot of folks, with issues, pediatric issues and whatever, that are going to look to Rockford as a place to come get healing. So this is something we ought to be very proud of. I'm very proud of, and I think it's fantastic.
And I think you're right in shining the spotlight on so many positives that we do have in this region. It's easy to fall back on we're part of the Rust Belt mentality. Look at the hemorrhage of people going here and there, but there are still so many great things and even more in the offing.
Yeah, look, everything comes in cycles, and all you have to do is study the economy and study humanity and know that it happens. In the Rockford area, and frankly, manufacturing was in a down cycle. But I think we're in the process of an up cycle again. I think, and it's not just, some of the tooling and the things that we used to do very well, and we still do very well. Now we're starting to get things into, aerospace. Aerospace is going to have a future for hundreds of years, and I think it's fantastic. I'm very optimistic, and again, if you could, quantum leap back 10 years ago to today, you'd see a whole different Rockford in a very good way.
We could do with some pro-business reforms in Springfield, sure. Maybe a budget that's not $4 billion out of balance as well. I know you don't have any hands-on dealings in Springfield, but you're used to some partisan rancor. As you look from afar at what's happening in Springfield, do you relate to some of the battles going on there as to what you're doing in Washington?
Well, yeah, I pay attention to Springfield because, frankly, I want to take some of my campaign resources and beat really bad Democrats with them. I'm tired of living in a state where you have a Mike Madigan who believes that he is the god of Illinois, who believes that Chicago rules everywhere else, and who, frankly, is not even going to talk to the governor. The governor, who I think realistically has said, look, I'll put the tax increase back on the table, but you got to give me something. I'm not going to walk out of here with nothing. It's absolutely, utterly ludicrous. And, so I commend the governor for what he's doing. I commend our Republican state reps and state senators for standing strong with the governor. And I look forward to next cycle actually spending my campaign resources to crush these people that are not representing their people. And yes, I see this. And frankly, unfortunately, Springfield makes Washington, D.C. look highly successful and functional, which is sad.
Wow. I'm going to give you statement of the day for that one. That one really fits nicely. It seems to Mike Madigan, though, and he basically voiced such thoughts of, this election didn't really happen. And if it did happen, it's not really that legitimate anyway.
I mean, look, I'm going to say this as nice as I can. Mike Madigan just needs to go away. I mean, honestly, you've been there for 30 years. You took a great state. You ran it into the ground. Just go away. You probably have a nice pension. You probably
Wait. Probably? This is Illinois. What are you talking about?
He's well set.
You have a great pension. You probably have a ton of cash in your business. Just go away. Look, I'll help him find a nice island somewhere to spend his winters. But, I mean, just stop dragging the state of Illinois down for your personal gain. I'm just tired of it.
Congressman Adam Kinzinger with us. It's Ronnie and Scott on WROK. We're going to talk, the Iran deal, vote coming up in September. We hear a number of House Democrats saying they'll vote against it. Just two Senate Democrats, I should say, saying they will be a vote of disapproval for the agreement. We talked with U.S. Senator Ron Johnson earlier this morning, Congressman. He said he is holding out hope, but he is doubtful the votes will be there to override a presidential veto on this Iran deal. Are you in that same camp? Are you optimistic at all that might happen?
Not yet. Look, our own esteemed great senator, I say that in quotations, Dick Durbin, has said he studied this deeply and he supports it. Now, was anybody surprised by that? No, he's a political shill. He's carrying the water for the president. And unfortunately, I think most Democrats are going to do that. What's Sherry Bustos going to do? I don't think I've heard from her. Maybe she's made a statement. But this, in effect, ends the nuclear non-proliferation treaty for the world. The one thing that's kept nuclear weapons from really spreading as quickly as they could, the non-proliferation treaty, this ends it, because this now gives every country in the world, in essence, implicitly, the right to enrich as much uranium as they want, because that's exactly what we've given to our worst enemy. So, yeah, this is a terrible deal, and I wish for once, I was talking to a friend who's very involved in lobbying on this issue, involved with AIPAC and other groups, and he says, we were very sad that Harry Reid came out against it. And I said, came out for this deal. And I said, were you ever really questioning whether Harry Reid, I mean, this is ludicrous. It's these Democrats are just, they care more about their party than they do. Well, I don't want to, that's harsh to say, but look, they care about saving the party right now, and they're not as interested, I think, in the details of this plan.
Congressman, Quad Cities Online 2 days ago, Bustos undecided on imperfect Iran nuke deal. Says she'll probably make a decision sometime this week, although I know she had signed a letter a few months ago saying that she would be a vote to support a deal. That was at a previous incarnation, or at least till we found out details like Iran inspects itself. I'm not sure that will change her mind, but she says sometime this week she'll decide.
Well, I mean, truthfully, I'm not going to speak on her behalf, but a lot of these Democrats, look, what's in the deal. You also know that there's secret side deals that we don't know what's in there. At the end of the day, they're playing the politics game. And I don't want to ascribe that to my colleague, Sherry, but I know a lot of Democrats are just sitting around going, all right, well, what's this mean for me politically? So sure, 2-1 oppose the Iran deal, but is this, the Obamacare of 2010, or Americans just not going to pay attention? If they're not going to pay attention, I'll vote for the deal. If they are, maybe I'll vote against it. And unfortunately, look, one of the things I've always said in politics, I mean, you got to play politics to an extent. We all understand that. That's the nature. That's why it's called politics. But don't play politics with national security. And, I've taken some pretty tough stands on national security when it was very unpopular. I think it's been proven right. But my view has always been on national security, don't play politics. The American people can't afford it. And this is one of those.
Well, and unfortunately, you've got an administration that doesn't do anything without its eye on politics first.
No, of course. I mean, look, it's the president, the guy that came in riding in on his horse saying he was going to be the guy to unite the entire country, has been the most divisive president we've ever had. I mean, look at, we passed TPA, the Trade Promotion Authority, to begin to help our export agreements, and 3 days later he's attacking Republicans again. I mean, it's just, there's nothing that doesn't escape him that isn't politically driven, unfortunately.
Congressman Adam Kinzinger with us. It's Ronnie and Scott on WROK. He's from Illinois' 16th District. Hillary Clinton, the emails, the classified, confidential, top secret information. Look, when you get to Washington, you're briefed on how to handle this type of stuff, right?
Of course.
How could Hillary Clinton, the Secretary of State, not realize what she was doing in handling the info, not realize that sometimes classified info doesn't say classified all over it to be classified? And why should everyone be concerned about what she's done here?
Well, everyone should be concerned for two reasons. Number one, if she's commander-in-chief, classified information is gold, right? I mean, it keeps the enemy from knowing what you're doing. It gives you the element of surprise, and it's very important. The other thing, though, bigger than mishandling classified information, which, by the way, Petraeus went down for,
right.
less. An American hero, by the way. The other thing is she's been dishonest about it. I mean, she's had I think evolving story would be kind to say that. She's had an evolving story from the very beginning. First she didn't have any, and then nothing that was labeled, and it just keeps evolving. And at the end of the day, if you're going to have your own server run by, Jimmy John's, server corporation or whatever, LLC, and you're going to be the highest-ranking individual in the government, the third highest-ranking individual in the government, and the Chinese are going to be all over that. They're going to know exactly where it is. That kind of stuff is important. It's the attention to detail. It's the honesty to the American people. And so I think, look, this is going to backfire on her in a big way. I was among the camp that initially thought, this is probably going to die like always happens with the mainstream media, but this thing seems to have some legs. I don't want it to have legs just because I'm vindictive against Hillary Clinton.
Mm-hmm.
If it's real, it needs to have legs because it's the right thing to do.
Well, and let's look at it from the other angle. And you mentioned General Petraeus. Let's say this was you. Let's say this was, you pick somebody. We'd already be fitting you for bracelets on something like this.
Of course, anybody would, and probably rightfully so. I mean, look, I know, and I learned this in the military. The second I know classified information, I mean, even if you're sitting at a bar talking to your friends or talking to people that are also have the same level of classification as you, and you were in the same briefing, you don't talk about this. And you especially don't write in an email, because an email can live forever. So yeah, this is it appears that if this is as bad as it seems, people have been taken down for a lot less.
Congressman Adam Kinzinger with us, Illinois 16th District, Riley and Scott on WROK. I know you got to run here in a minute or two. Let's hit this briefly. I'm sure it will come up again in our next conversation as well. But story in Politico this week, House GOP leaders desperate to avoid shutdown. This has to do with Planned Parenthood and funding, and whether defunding Planned Parenthood should be a part of a budget agreement, which the current one ends September 30th. You are a pro-life congressman, strongly. You also have been on the record many times before saying, look, shutdowns are not good ideas, and certainly there are others like Mitch McConnell in the Senate who feel that way too. Have you decided on a strategy that you will support moving forward on this Planned Parenthood funding question?
I want to see what's put forward. There are people that are smarter than me, a strategy that, when we get back to D.C., I think we're going to have a real kind of family discussion on this. The question is pick battles that you can win, not just, pick battle for battle's sake. And I don't know if this is a battle I can win. And this is something, I wish I could give you a definitive answer to. If we could win on a government shutdown, defunding Planned Parenthood, it may be worth engaging on. If we can't win, in many cases, what you end up doing is taking this story of these horrific, frankly, concentration camp style, discussions about what to do with unborn babies, and you turn it from that into an issue of Republicans shutting down the government. So how do we maintain the momentum? How do we turn the public opinion against funding Planned Parenthood? And let's look at this for the long haul. Planned Parenthood has been funded for decades. So if we lose on a government shutdown and then the fight is over because, we fought and lost, versus if we can fight over the long haul the next 6 months to a year and actually follow through with defunding Planned Parenthood, which is better? And so I don't know the answer to that. I can tell you that defunding it is a priority of mine, but let's figure out the best way to successfully do that in the long run instead of just saying, well, let's just do this and maybe we'll lose and the issue's done. We've got to win on this. And that's my focus.
All right. Congressman Adam Kinzinger, as always, we appreciate you taking time for us.
God bless you guys. Take care. Have a great day.